Today, we're looking at Birmingham Pen Company's USS Requin Navy Blue. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Birmingham Pen Company's USS Requin Navy Blue is a blue ink, a very dark blue ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen for a day, I then put it into a Fountain Pen Revolution Himalaya with their flex nib to take my notes for this video. Now before we go to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we do see a line across the bottom that's really looking like it's starting to get in there. The blue pushes its way up, and then we see this nice red across the top. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And the real difference that we're seeing is that with 10 minutes, a lot of that blue is really getting very into this filter paper, making me feel like this might have a little bit more resistance than I would expect. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles itself absolutely great, which you expect from the second chromatography. That extra fine is still an extra fine. There's no blurriness, no blowout. It's safe to use as a note taker. Now, water is only lifting the darkest tones of the ink. There's a lot of ink still left there on the paper. Pen flush isn't doing anything more than water did. It's really not getting the ink to budge after it's been allowed to be on the paper for 3 days. The 1/3 bleach solution is removing a majority of the ink, but it's leaving this kind of brown color behind that I don't remember seeing in the chromatography, but it's definitely there. And a normal thing that we would see is that if the bleach is going to discolor the paper, it usually goes towards a yellow, not this light, very light brown. So just test it in a more inexpensive pen first. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Birmingham Pen Company's USS Requin Navy Blue has a viscosity of 2.05, making it just slightly wetter than normal. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Birmingham Pen Company's USS Requin Navy Blue has an average dry time of 17 seconds, making it not just normal, but average. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and I'm going to do this first. Let's get the browbeating out of the way. I hate these sample bottles. They're messy. I'm glad I only have, I think, one more sample from them. It's not that their inks are bad. I hate this sample bottle. And I started with the whole, I love that you're trying something new. Now I'm like, I'm tired of the mess on my hands. To keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X 450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X 750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen. It does offer some shading, some nice shading. Like the H in Ham is certainly darker. The B on the Birmingham, certainly darker. The middles of the S's, both of them in the USS, certainly darker. Very nice shading throughout the stub. The extra fine is a significantly darker tone than the 1.1. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shading. 8 seconds to dry. I like this tone. I know it says blue. It makes me think blue-black. The medium is a significantly darker tone than the extra fine, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 16 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it We didn't get it. The smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Tomoe River. No bleeding, plenty of ghosting. The 1.1 gives a very light dusty blue. It's nice. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shading. It's nice. The extra fine is significantly darker than the 1.1 with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 13 seconds to dry. Now the medium is significantly darker than the extra fine and a world apart from the 1.1. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 24 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine and the medium show no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. In a smear test, you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Fantastic. Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. Nice. The 1.1, what are you doing, paper? The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen. It definitely is giving us some shade spots, like the Y in navy is a bit darker. The B and the E in blue are much darker. The R to E in Requin is darker than the rest of the word. Beautiful. The USS looks lighter than the rest of the writing around it. Fantastic. The extra fine is significantly darker than the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and it shows us spots of shading, like the K in quick is significantly darker than the rest of the word. The same with the B in brown and the F in fox. The Y in lazy is lighter, quite a bit lighter than the rest of the word. 9 seconds to dry. Now the medium is significantly darker than the extra fine. It's not showing as much on camera, but in person, wow, it's a different color entirely. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine and the medium aren't showing us much color variation, although the extra fine did give us some color variation in the writing. The smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Levenger. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen. It has spots of shading, just spots. Like the R in Requiem looks much lighter than the rest of the word. The Y in navy looks darker than the rest of that word. Blue looks like the darkest writing in the entire of the Birmingham USS Requin navy blue. Requin. Shark. The extra fine is significantly darker than the 1.1. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and spots of shading. Still, spots of darker letters. The H in the H in the is darker than the rest of the word. The K in quick. The after over is significantly darker than the word dry directly underneath it. It took 6 seconds to dry. Now medium is again significantly darker than the extra fine. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine shows us some color variation. Look at it from far left to far right and you see it. And there is color variation in the writing. The medium showed none and there was none. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Great stuff. Black and red notebooks, no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade for this paper. The extra fine is only about 2 shades darker than the 1.1. One or two tones darker. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. The medium is significantly darker than the extra fine. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine and the medium shows no color variation, and we didn't get any. In the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. And this last paper, this is the Elon notebook. It's the, let's see, got to look for my note on Elon. Job a day. This is a great contractor type notebook. It's perfect for ballpoints and for pencils. Not so great for liquid inks. But it did not do bad with the extra fine. Medium, not good. Extra fine, not bad. This paper has had a lot of trouble with a lot of inks. I think you could use this with the extra fine, not the medium. It does not touch the page underneath, but the medium stops you from using the back of the page. The extra fine, it's a maybe. It depends on what you're doing. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. Now, not feathering is a big deal on this paper. This paper has not done well with inks, but it's done very well with this one. The extra fine is slightly, it's like 2 tones darker than the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 3 seconds to dry. Nice. The medium is about 2 or 3 tones darker than the extra fine. The medium has no spread, but it has feathering in a lot of spots. Not all of the spots. The K in quick, hugely feathered. The PS in jumps, tremendous amounts of feathers. This entire the, a lot of feathers. The R in over, a lot of feathers. All of the word sec for seconds, a lot of feathers. No halo, no sheen, and no shade, 4 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we got none. And the smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. And that is all that I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Birmingham Pen Company's USS Requin navy blue, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Being such a dark blue, I needed a bright red, and I went with Robert Oster's Fire Engine Red. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Birmingham Pen Company's USS Requin Navy Blue? This is a great, very dark blue that really makes you think that this is a blue-black, and it's not. But I love blue-black inks. This one performs very nice on the paper. It is a little bit of a chore to clean from your pen, but I think when you put the right pen with it, it can be worth the effort of having to clean it for this fantastic, very dark blue. Thanks for watching.